All right, the House Homeland Security Committee has launched a series of hearings into what the FBI and other agencies knew ahead of the bombings. And the LA Times has just released that there was actually an intelligence report that came out about a week before the bombings that identified the finish line as an area of vulnerability. So right now we want to check in with former FBI agent Jeffrey Horblit. Thanks for being with us. Right now you are the president of the Northeast Intelligence Group, and we really want to start with this report. I think it's shocking for a lot of people to hear that there was a warning that the FBI finish line was vulnerable and could even be referred to as a soft target by terrorists who would use small-scale bombs. But is that normal? Is that standard?
The report that's been referred to in the LA Times and elsewhere is a report that's done on virtually every major event, in lesser events. And those reports reflect vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities are going to be areas that may be, if you use soft target, but it doesn't necessarily mean that anything's going to happen. And unless you have very specific information, a vague general threat is far different from a very specific allegation or specific information.
So this was saying overall this could be of interest to somebody trying to harm people in Boston, but it didn't have anything like backpacks or bombs, nothing that was imminent, nothing that was specific.
That's exactly right. If you have specific actionable information, that's one thing, but a general conclusion that this may be a target for those that would engage in this sort of terrorist activity, that's not helpful. There isn't a whole lot that you can do with that information. And in fact, it's likely that that information appears in other publications as more of a general warning.
Well, you specialized in post-blast investigations, so with information like that, what can be done and maybe what wasn't done, or did they do the best they could with the bomb-sniffing dogs? Was there anything missed?
I don't have enough information about what was done, but I can say that based on what I believe was done, I do think they did all that had to be done or could have been done. The bomb dogs, I'm sure, were brought to the area. There is, a lot of observation done. If you look at the videotape of the finish line during the terrible tragedy, you'll see that there are many, many policemen there. There's EMS personnel there. So there's clearly a lot of personnel there that are prepared to address something that might happen, that did happen, and thankfully they were there. So I don't know that there was a whole lot more that could have been done based on that limited information.
You know, Police Commissioner Ed Davis, he was testifying down in Washington, D.C. as the Senate looks into this as well. And he sort of made the same statement. He doesn't know that even with the information that they had ahead of time, whether this could have been prevented in any way, but highlighted a breakdown in communication. Apparently, Boston police didn't know from the FBI that the brothers accused in this, the Tsarnaev brothers, were actually on a watch list and were of interest. What do you make of that? Well,
I think that speaks to, there's a collaborative effort between both the federal, state, and local law enforcement, and that collaborative effort includes a lot of information. Sometimes the information becomes so voluminous that the challenge becomes trying to identify that which is really valuable and that which is more of a distraction. There's a lot of white noise in the intelligence industry and the intelligence world, and I think in this particular case it's easier to look back and see the relevance of that information than it was at the time that it was made available to the FBI.
Now, the trip to Dagestan and other red flags, the fact that these brothers might have become radicalized in their thought process, in your experience, what sort of action could have been taken once somebody is flagged like that? Had Boston police known, what could they have done?
Well, I don't know what they could have done differently than the FBI. And because there is the Joint Terrorism Task Force, there is a regional intelligence center, there would have been that collaborative process again. So there would have been this combined effort.
But it doesn't seem like there was. Where was the collaboration? Do you feel like the FBI and local police talk enough, and especially in this case?
I do think there is a significant collaboration. Whether that could be enhanced, only further inquiry will determine that.
Yeah, they said there was this database where they actually had his name listed in 2011, Tamerlan's, and then Boston police didn't see it. So there's got to be a breakdown somewhere.
Well, there may be a breakdown, but there may also be, it may also speak to this volume of information needs to be sort of streamlined a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah, figure out exactly how to investigate all of the names that end up in these databases.
To somehow place a value on how actionable that information is. If you just inundate a source with lots and lots of information, you consume resources unnecessarily.
All right. Thank you so much for putting some perspective on all of this as we continue to sort through the details.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.